Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat at happy centennial po sa UP Department of Linguistics. Welcome po sa Linguistics Graduate Students Research Colloquium at sa umaga pong ito at sa installment na ito ng ating Research Colloquium para sa ating graduate students sa Department of Linguistics, tampok po natin ang dalawang recipients ng Professor Ernesto H. Cubar Research Grant. Masaya po kami na maipakilala sa inyo mamaya yung ating mga grantees po ng ating Professor Ernesto H. Cubar Research Grant. Pero to give you a bit of a background about Professor Ernesto H. Cubar, Professor Ernesto H. Cubar was former professor of the Department of Linguistics at the University of the Philippines, Diliman. He obtained his MA Linguistics degree from the University of California, Los Angeles under the Fulbright Scholarship. Together with his wife, Dr. Nelly I. Cubar, he co-authored 2 monographs, a critical survey of the grammars of Philippine languages and a critical survey of Philippine lexicography, as well as a book titled Writing Filipino Grammar, Traditions and Trends. His works continue to serve as valuable references for students and researchers of Philippine structural linguistics. Professor Cubar served as chair of the department in the mid-70s and associate dean during the early years of the College of Social Sciences and Philosophy from 1983 to 1989. He was also appointed as commissioner of the Komisyon sa Wikang Filipino in the 90s until his retirement from government service. Recently, the department republished his groundbreaking work titled Topicalization and Some Related Processes in Philippine Languages as the first title in the Archive Classics series. To honor the life and works of Professor Cubar, the Department of Linguistics was endowed with funds for the purpose of conceptualizing, establishing, and awarding a research grant to deserving linguistics graduate students in UP Diliman. At sa pagtatapos po ng academic year 2021 to 2022, nais po namin ipakilala sa inyo yung mga recipient ng kauna-unahang Professor Ernesto H. Cubar Research Grant sa pamamagitan po nitong ating Linguistics Graduate Students Colloquium. Ilang paalala lang po para po sa ating colloquium. Una, ang ating pong colloquium at gaya po ng lahat ng mga event ng ating departamento, ito po ay isang safe space. Kaya po, nais po namin limitahan ang ating mga diskusyon sa mga akademikong nature at mga tanong, particular po tungkol doon sa topic na pag-uusapan natin sa umagang ito. Pangalawa po, para sa lahat ng mga sumusubaybay sa Facebook at sa YouTube accounts ng UP Department of Linguistics, magiging available po para sa pag-claim ng Certificate of Attendance kapag ka po natapos ang pag-accomplish ng survey at na evaluation po dito po sa ating event. Upang ipakilala po natin ang ating mga speaker, babasahin ko po ang isang maikling bio note po para sa unang tagapagsalita. He is currently an MA student at the Department of Linguistics, University of the Philippines, Diliman. His research interests are Philippine languages, specifically South Mindanao, Manobo, and Mansakan, language documentation and description, historical linguistics, and social linguistics. He has also presented his papers at the Linguistic Society of the Philippines International Conference, or LSPIC, and Southeast Asian Linguistic Society, or SEALS, Conference. Narito po upang basahin ang kanyang paper titled Revisiting the Position of Bagobo-Klata in the South Mindanao Subgroup, Mr. Edward G. Estrera.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Edward.
Again, so my paper is actually something I'm doing in progress. Um, so this is just going to be a preliminary presentation. So it's entitled Revisiting the Position of Bagobo-Klata in the South Mindanao Subgroup. So ang outline po ng aking presentation ay South Mindanao languages, methods that I use, and then um, we'll revisit three important papers in relation to South Mindanao subgroup in Savage 1986's a reconstruction of um, Proto-Southern Mindanao, plus on speech strata in Tiruray and Zort's Klata or Janga. And then for the final part, my newly revised lexical innovations, the one I propose in replacement of the ones proposed by Blust and Zort, as well as Savage. So, ano-ano nga ba ang mga South Mindanao languages? So, um, in earlier studies, bilik ang tawag nila dito. Pero in this study, ang itatawag ko dito ay South Mindanao because um, sa aming email correspondence ni Dr. Zor, he firmly believes that the term bilik should be reserved to the dialects of Blaan, namely Sarangani and Coronadal. And also there's an emerging one in South Cotabato. There. So in previous studies, um, Bagobo-Klata is assumed to be a member of the Bilik subgroup. So this group includes Blaan, Tuboli, and Tiduray, even without supporting evidence. I would like to qualify um, even without supporting evidence here because in Diane study and Walta 1979, there was actually an evidence used, but um, it was lexico-statistical. So, um, mas reliable sana kung comparative method yung ginamit to establish the Bilik subgroup. And also, um, there there was no published data about Bagobo-Klata at that time. So, just a quick run through about the members of South Mindanao. So first, Bagobo-Klata. So this language is spoken in the eastern slopes of Mount Apo in Davao City. This area covers more than 40 barangays in Davao City alone and one barangay in Magpet, Cotabato. The next one is Blaan Sarangani. So there are actually two dialects of Blaan, but for the study, um, I'm going using Sarangani instead of Coronadal because um, it's quite hard to find a language consultant who speaks Blaan Sarangani, hence Coronadal rather. Hence I use Blaan Sarangani. So this language is spoken in Sarangani, Davao Occidental, and in General Santos City, South Cotabato. So for the next one, Tiboli, this one is spoken in the following areas. I'm sorry. Um, in some parts of Sarangani and the area surrounding Lake Cebu in South Cotabato. And this language also has two dialects. So the part of Sarangani facing Celebes, um, the the dialect spoken there is called Tiboli Mohin. And under Tiboli Mohin, there are two further dialects. So Tiboli Matakadaw and Tiboli Sadaf. The difference is Tiboli Matakadaw dialect is spoken in the area where the sun rises and the other one where the sun sets. And then the second major dialect in Tiboli is called Tibolisbo. And for the final member of the subgroup, Tiduray is spoken in southwestern Mindanao, specifically in Datoblati, Sinsuat, North UP, and in Maganoy, but now Sharif Agwak in South UP, Maguindanao, and also in Esperanza and Lobac, Sultan Kudarat. And this language is divided into three varieties according to my language consultant. So the lowland Tiduray speakers speak Otodaga, upland Tiduray speakers speak Otodawa, and um, Tiduray speakers along the coastal lines speak Otodaga, Doga rather. So in order to um, propose um, new lexical innovations, a comparison word list has been created to identify the cognate sets and to examine them to extract the lexical evidence needed. This list contains around 1,000 words, and this is patterned after the 2017 1,000 word survey, the enhanced version of Towards a Definitive Philippine Word List. Also, besides compiling items from word lists and dictionaries, I also had to consult these items with um, native speakers of Plan, Sarangani, Tubolimohin, and Tuduray for the accuracy of each item. Also, the items in the comparison word list has been compared to those in the word list and reconstruction list of the following subgroups. Proto-Danau, Proto-Manobo, Proto-Southeast Mindanao. Although the term Proto-Southeast Mindanao seems to be more of an axis relationship of two subgroups. Subgroups under Proto-Bisayan, namely Mansakan and South Bisayan. The other one is Proto-Subanan. Also, I used Reed's Philippine minor languages, specifically for Manobo languages. And to trace the protoforms of these items and to check for witnesses. External external cognates, actually. I have consulted the Austrian Museum Comparative Dictionary. So these are the word lists and dictionaries I used for this study. So for Bagobo-Klata, I have personally collected the data for that. And for Blaan, Coronadal, and Sarangani, um, I was given a copy of the first Blaan dictionary. So this dictionary incorporates both dialects, Coronadal and Sarangani. And I also have a 540 word list of Blaan Sarangani from Bondok's thesis on the grammatical sketch of Blaan. For Tiboli, um, the Tiboli webinar by Summer Institute of Linguistics. And for Tuturay, I use Father Schlegel's dictionary and the booklet Let's Converse in Four Languages, again by Summer Institute of Linguistics. For other subgroups, for Danao subgroup, I use Allison's thesis, Joe Allison's thesis, and for Manobo subgroup, um, Manobo online dictionaries from SIL, specifically Obo, Tagabawa, Sarangani Manobo, and the Philippine word list for Cotabato Manobo. And of course, the reconstruction list by Elkins, first in 1974, and then the extended one, which includes um, Cotabato Manobo, Binukid, and Western Bukidnon in Elkins 1984. And then for Mansakan and South Visayan subgroups, the reconstruction list in Galman 1979, which is based on his PhD dissertation. And for Proto-Sabanan, um, the reconstruction list came from Jason Dobell's PhD dissertation, Philippine and North Bornean languages. Okay, so let's revisit the three important studies done regarding um Proto South Mindanao. Initially it was called Proto Southern Mindanao, but for the study it is actually based on Savage's term, but I've adapted Zort 2019's term for that, which is South Mindanao. So in the study, um, the parent language of South Mindanao languages was reconstructed in terms of phonology and vocabulary rates around 400, so 394 in total. However, the languages compared here are only three, and two of them are not actually languages, but actually varieties of the same language. The cognate sets used in the study came from the following studies: the phonemes of Bilaan, phonemic statement of Sarangani Laan, the phonemes of Tiboli, and the historical development of Laan vowels, and some consonant reflexes. Also in the study, um, I found some um, protomorphemes that only include Blaan Coronadan and Blaan Sarangani. It should actually have been Blaan and Tiboli. So if the protomorphemes only consider Coronadal and Sarangani dialects, then um, the reconstructed forms are not actually reliable. So I found quite a few protomorphisms. So starting with number two, afternoon. So here, the cognates compared came from Blaan, Corondal, and Blaan Sarangani. Tiboli has a different word for afternoon, and the same can be said for 14, Belly, 29, Bolo, 30, Bone, and also um, some of these morphemes are actually just retentions of proto Proto-Austronesian in Blaan. So I could say that some of these morphemes are just retentions in just one language, not actually two languages. So you can see in the highlighted parenthesis on the right that the term that the reflex um, is different in Tibol. Same for 117, 142, 147. Also, there are also inconsistent transcriptions. So with this inconsistency, the reliability of the reconstructed vowels done by Savage could be vitiated. So as shown here, there are inconsistencies in Bland Sarangani and in Bland Coronadal with the vowel A and the half rounded O. And this is the reconstructed um, phoneme inventory of Proto-Southern Mindanao. So for consonants, there are 16, and for the vowels, there are 4. The capital N here is um, the velar nasal, and then two voiceless stops were actually um, are reconstructed. Actually, one of this should be um, quite near to the uvular stop. Next, on plus 1992's on speech strata in Tinuray, this paper actually focuses on um, two fairly well-defined speech strata found in Tinuray. However, in order to examine the problems of the speech strata, Blas must examine um, the phonology of Tiruray exhaustively. And and to maximize that, he also has to um, check um, the reconstructions, and to refer to Proto South Mindanao done by Savage and in Proto Danao by Allison to check for possible sources of possible sources of loaned words. So um, for Proto South Mindanao, he revised Savage's reconstruction on account of the primary sources inspected because as previously mentioned, there are inconsistencies in the transcription. So some changes were made. So instead of a proto P, it was changed to F. And then um, Savage also posited the flapping of D, but Blas argued that it was a stop in all positions. The flapping, according to Blas, was a result of exposure of speakers of South Mindanao languages to Hiligaynon. And then two reconstructed consonants were added. So the glottal stop and the R, the proto R. So the proto R um, was actually a merger of um, the uvular stop, proto PMPD, and then proto E and O, as well as diphthongs um, A and O were also reconstructed. Thus, the South Mindanao phonemic inventory is as follows. So now there are 16 proto-consonants and um, 6 vowels and 2 diphthongs. Diphthongs in ow are only found in loans. So in the study, I'm just going to focus on the lexical innovations noted and proposed. So out of the there, so out of the 24, there are some items here that need to be removed. So starting with number two, okay, this innovated form has a witness in Manobo languages, specifically in Sarangani Manobo. In Sarangani Manobo, there's a word tapo, which means to cut or to break. And then for number four, child, um, this one is also found in other Philippine languages. In I think in Irayamanga, there's a word like I if my memory serves me well, unga. And in some languages in the Cordilleras. And skipping to 11, this one isn't actually an innovation, but um actually it's just a retention. Um some members of South Mindanao um historically had a tendency to dig deep um, the penultimate syllables that mm, look the same that look the same as the ultima. Okay. And for number 24, I actually suspect this to be just a change from bilabial nasal to alveolar nasal. But mm, further studies need to be done just to be certain. And here's some noteworthy cognates. These cognate sets are shared by South Mindanao languages with Manobo and Subanen languages. So Blas was able to collect at least 19. So some of the items also found in Zor were actually based on Savage 1986 and Blas 1992. So I'm just going to focus on the highlighted items. So in terms of differences, these languages actually have different terms for abaka. So Lutay is not actually a good representation because um this is a different kind of abaka. So if we're talking about Manila hemp, then um the cognates in southern Mindanao languages are actually the same, just varying in the middle consonant. Also for number two, um, Labi is a lexical unit found in Blaan. So it doesn't um, really provide strong evidence for a difference. And for number four, Kagol, um, the back, there's actually, later I will show that um, these four languages um, share one word regarding that. And then number six is a retention. So some of these differences are actually problematic and need to be revised. And for number 21, this is also a retention from Proto-Austronesian. Same with 26. And 30 is a replacement innovation. And then another list for shared similarities. Most of these are also retentions from Proto-Austronesian and Proto-Malayo-Polynesian. There's just actually one here that could be an innovation, but happens to be um, an axis form. It's also an innovation, but it's a kind of innovation that is shared by more than two subgroups. So in Tibabaon Manobo, they have a word for this. I think the pronunciation is like paok. So the liquid in the middle of the word is lost. So for this study, I proposed 30 lexical innovations. that are shared exclusively among South Mindanao languages. So for number one, armpit, it's ima, and then the second one, taga, which became um uh togo, both in Bagobo-Klata and Tuduray. And for number three, baloy, which became baloy and waloy in Bagobo-Klata and Tuduray, respectively. To bite, to be brave, to broil, and cold, dream, eel, are some just of the lexical innovations I found, but have been overlooked. Perhaps because of the limitation of the data. And then tuwang, katut, to frighten. So specifically for number 11, the word medial voices stop geminated in Bagobo-Klata. And as for the schwa in the penultimate syllable, it sporadically becomes a hyphen vowel, and it can also be found in words like dipo or handspan. Tiki or little finger, luwang, to look out the window. For luwang, um, the base initial lateral became a voices dental, voice dental, rather. Name, Nate. 16 and 17 are kind of problematic because um, it's quite difficult to explain how the glottal stop became a labiovelar entity. And then for Nate in 17, the final consonant became a dental nasal. Some innovations here are quite straightforward. And for number 22, I think this is worth sharing because um, this innovation was actually discovered through Facebook browsing. I found a post by a Facebook post by a Blaan speaker sharing about the etymology of um, Tiboli. Yeah, so in his post he said Toboli or people of the other side is one of the possible uh, etymologies of the term Tiboli. Here in the word Boli or the other side. Bali in um, Blaan, and for the Teduray, it's Bala. According to my language consultant, um, for them, Blaan came from this word Bala plus an, hence Balaan. So these are actually 32 lexical innovations, plus another 23, but these innovations um, they share with other Mindanao languages. Although some items here can be said to be access forms, or these are innovations shared by more than two subgroups. This concept was put forward by Dr. R. David Sork. Although there are some forms here which are quite difficult to deal with, especially number 8, since Dano languages are quite influential in their area. But it's quite hard to think that that a Dano language can influence Bagobo-Klata, which is on the other side of the mountain of Mount Apo. And then also um, a lexical innovation for the word eagle, and then eggplant. Although it resulted in the study that eggplant is not native here, but um, there are native words in these languages for eggplant. There. So just to conclude, the evidence presented here is still uh, preliminary, but um, further studies need to be done, um, especially the collection of lexical items regarding material culture, just expand the word list. So more cognate sets can be found. And in addition to lexical evidence, I'm also working on morphosyntactic um, evidence of this language. Um, this evidence has something to do with um, commutative, relational, and reciprocal affixes in South Mindanao languages. These affixes in most Philippine languages, especially in Tagalog and some in or just in Tagalog, it's mag. So mag can be used as a verbal affix plus an to express reciprocal actions, and mag can also be used to express relationships, magnanay. But in South Mindanao languages, they use just one affix to express all of these concepts, relationships, and also commutative functions like kasama is also included in just that one affix. So that's all. Thank you so much.
Maraming salamat, Eds. Ayan. Okay. Para po dun sa questions and comments, no, dun sa mga presentation, magbubukas po kami ng um, space dito sa ating colloquium para po sa pagbabasa natin ng comments mula sa ating audience. You may post your questions and comments sa ating comment section sa Facebook page ng UP Department of Linguistics. Ganun din po sa official YouTube channel din ng UP Department of Linguistics. Dumako tayo ngayon sa pangalawa nating speaker. She is currently completing her MA and PhD in Linguistics at the University of Hawaii at Manoa. She is a non-graduate alumna of the Master's Program at the Department of Linguistics, University of the Philippines, Diliman. Her research interests are language documentation, acquisition and revitalization, linguistic typology, historical linguistics, social linguistics, and corpus linguistics. She is a member of the Linguistic Society of the Philippines, or LSP, and a student affiliate of the East-West Center, or EWC. Narito po upang i-present ang kanyang paper titled The Morphosyntax of Ayta Magbukun, Miss Orlyn Joyce Esquivel.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello. Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen. Ayan. So, hello everyone. I'm Orlyn. So, I'm a former MA student at the Department of Linguistics at UP Diliman. And right now, I'm a PhD student at the University of Hawaii at Manoa. So I'm gonna talk about the morphosyntax of Ayta Magbukun. Some portions of this presentation is actually presented from previous conferences at the University of Essex and at the University of California, Davis. And this is just a preliminary as of now. Okay. So first is why preserve endangered languages? Every language embodies the cultural and historical wisdom of a people, and the loss of any language is a loss of knowledge and identity. In this century, nearly half of the roughly 7,000 languages spoken will likely disappear as communities, particularly the minority ones, abandon their native languages in favor of dominant ones for mobility and survival. And then the causes of language endangerment. So, indigenous languages are under tremendous threat due to the continual influence of modernization, exposure to more dominant languages, discouragement from residential schools, the absence of pedagogical resources, and the lack of standardized orthographies. Some indigenous languages have an official status and are spoken by large population segments, whereas others are not recognized and may have a few number of speakers. So, apart from the official recognition of some indigenous languages, no legislation provides protective measures or assurance for their growth and sustenance. And the Philippines is no exception, with several of its underrepresented languages in decline. Most of the population in the Philippines speak one of the approximately 171 languages, depending on the classification. Most of which are part of the Malayo-Polynesian language branch of the Austronesian family. Filipino, mainly Tagalog, the national language of the Philippines, is the main language of print and broadcast media in the country. Some 70 minority groups are considered indigenous, about 25 of which are known by the name of Negritos. In the Philippine Islands, Peninsular Malaysia, and the Andaman Islands, indigenous groups called Negritos, whose ancestry can be traced to the first Sundaland people. The Negritos represent the first indigenous culture in the Philippines that has remained for 3,000 years. And then we have the Agta, Ata, Arta, Aita, and Ata. So the main reason for the variation in the names of the groups is the reflex of the medial consonant. So this provides key evidence for the Malayo-Polynesian group with which the ancestors of today's Negritos are associated with and those language they adopted. Ayta Magbukun, also referred as Maribelenyo, Magbikin, or Bataan Ayta, is one of the least known and understudied subgroups of Negrito located in the central part of Luzon. Magbakun originated from the word bukud or magbukud, means to separate from in the Ayta Magbukun language. This term is also used by the speakers to differentiate themselves from other Philippine ethno-linguistic groups. Scholars also revealed that these people have the highest level of Denisovan ancestry in the world, which is 30 to 40% greater than the Australopithecines. So Denisovans are a group of extinct humans discovered through a genome analysis of the tip of a finger bone found in a Russian cave. And the high level of Denisovan ancestry in Ayta Magbukun highlights the complex interactions between modern humans and Denisovans in the island Southeast Asia region. Ayta Magbukun speakers first arrived in the mountainous ranges of Maribeles in the southern tip of Bataan province. The Bataan Peninsula is situated southwards from the western shores of Central Luzon, forming the enclosed and well-sheltered Manila Bay to the east, which is nearly cut off from the open West Philippine Sea. Approximately 80% of the Bataan's land area is mountainous, in which most of its agricultural portion is in the north and east. Aita Magbukun people associate traditional economic and productive systems like hunting, gathering, or foraging. And there are at least three languages spoken in the province, the Ayta Magbukun, Tagalog, and Kapampangan, where Tagalog is the dominant language. Again, Ayta Magbukun is one of the more than 150 Malayo-Polynesian languages spoken in the Philippines. It is also one of the five Ayta languages that belong to the Sambalic parent subgroup in Central Luzon. It is spoken by the older generation of some 500 speakers in 11 Magbukon locations in Bataan province. It has no official orthography. At the present, the speakers are using the Tagalog or Filipino orthography. Aita Magbukon is still learned in infancy by most children. However, the language is falling out of use vis-a-vis larger languages in the province. Okay. So this table shows the possible endangerment of Aita Magbukon based on UNESCO's framework. So there are 9 factors by which I assess the status of the language. So actually, um, I think it's more reliable to do a survey. But for now, all I can provide is my assessment. So factor one is intergenerational language transmission, and based on this, Aita Magbukon is endangered. Factor two refers to the absolute number of speakers, and the language is currently at risk since it has only some 500 speakers remaining. Factor three is the proportion of speakers within the total population, and Aita Magbukon is endangered. Factor four, the trends in existing language domains. The language is still active in limited or formal domains. Um, for factor five, the response to new domains and media is inactive. Factor six refers to the materials for language education and literacy. Practical orthography is known to the community, although it's not yet official. And some material is written. In the Philippines, although there is the implementation of the MTB-MLE, there's still a lack of learning materials written in Aita Magbukon. Factor seven is the governmental and institutional language attitudes and policies, including official status and use, and the language has equal support because of the MTB-MLE. Factor eight is the community members' attitudes toward their own language, to which most members support language maintenance. And lastly, for factor nine, the amount and quality of documentation is inadequate. According to EGIS, or the Expanded Graded Intergenerational Disruption Scale, Aita Magbukon is listed in the ethnologue as a threatened language. So this label is assigned to a language used for face-to-face communication within all generations, but it is losing users. So for the objectives of the study, no published or unpublished work has focused on the morphosyntactic sketch of this language. This study centers on the preliminary morphosyntax constructions of Aita Magbukon, including the lexical and grammatical elements. While this content of this study is primarily descriptive, it is intended for a broad linguistic audience, written particularly for the benefit of the community and typologically minded scholars. So the data for this study was collected firsthand by way of direct elicitation and remote fieldwork in the Ayta Magbukun's village or bayan-bayanan within Bian, Mariveles, Bataan last September 2021. Three main consultants who are native speakers of the language participated in this study, and the field research was conducted over a span of 3 days during the pandemic. The elicitation material is a sentence list containing 570 clauses and sentences written in Tagalog, Data verification was done on May 2 to May 4 this year in consultation with the native speakers, and then elicitation sessions were recorded using a digital audio recorder. Okay, so let's go to the morphology of the language. Like most Philippine languages, Ayta Magbukun is an agglutinating type language. Agglutination is a morphological process in which words are formed by combining morphemes, which each corresponds to a single syntactic feature. So, for example, the following verbs in Ayta Magbukun can be easily divided into their verbal roots and respective affixes. So, the nagsi affix prefix plus um, uh, root verb stand. So it will be nagsiirong, which means stood or stood up. And then pinanghulat, the affix says pang plus in plus the root word hulat, uh, which means right, will be with pinanghulat, which means use something to write. Um, Nouns may also be subcategorized according to their morphological constructions. In the language, nouns may appear as single nominal root morphemes that may stand alone in discourse. For example, is uwu, which translates to blanket, bukir, which translates to farm field, and haging, which translates to banana. Compound nouns are not prevalent in the data collected. So I just provided a few compound nouns that were found. So there are apulaki, which translates to grandfather, bakong laki, son, and then as hawang laki, sorry, um, which means which translates to husband. In Aitamabukun, um, nominal word formations may be derived through attaching affixations. Based on the data collected, the following affixes were found to attach to nouns to modify their functions and meanings or specify certain features such as quantity. So we have here the root plus an affix. So this affix indicates the location where the action referred to by the root or stem is performed. So for example, is palansya plus the an affix will be palansaan, which translates to close ironing board, and then we have au affix plus root. So this affix indicates pluralization. So for example, au plus the word anak or child will be au anak, which translates to children. And then we also have the following affixes. So we have pan plus root. So this affix indicates the instrument or tool used to perform the action that is referred to. And we have tiga affix. So this indicates the person who is native of or coming from the location referred to. So for example, tiga Maynila. So we also have this in Tagalog. Okay. In the language, non-proper nouns are marked with the plural marker au in the beginning of the root word if the root word begins with a vowel phoneme. So for example, yung au amak, which translates to houses. And then rhyme duplication in Itamagbukan is done by copying the first consonant of the root word and combining it with the au prefix in the initial position. So for example, we have the babayi, which translates to woman. So it will be bao babayi, which translates to women. And then there's also full reduplication. For example, is dawon dawon, which translates to full of color green. Um, and then for the pronouns, I divided it into three types: personal pronouns, demonstrative pronouns, and interrogative pronouns. For personal pronouns, um, the personal pronoun system of Ayta Magbukun differentiates between first person, second person, and then third person. So we have here the table, which is also divided into nominative and genitive. And then Ayta Magbukun also distinguishes between inclusive and exclusive plural personal pronouns, which is also divided into nominative and genitive. Okay. And then there are three-way distinctions between Ayta Magbukun, each differing in the relative distance in reference to the speaker and addressee, which are the proximal, medial, and distal, and can be also categorized into nominative, genitive, and oblique. Like item magbukon nouns, the adjectives also go through different morphological processes, such as affixation and reduplication. So, for example, is ma-affix plus the root. So we have mahipog, which translates to hardworking, and we also have napaka, which denotes superlative degree plus the root. So we have napakagulang, which translates to very old. Okay. And for the reduplication, we have the first example, um, the first consonant, first vowel, and then the second consonant plus root. Uh, for example, the word pasan will be paspasan, which means fast. Okay. Verbs in the language may be affixed with markers for focus and aspect when used in sentence constructions. An item of bukon verb usually consists of a verbal stem and verbal affix. The verbal stem consists of the root, the morpheme possessing the primary lexical meaning of a word, and the other stem forming verbal affix attached to it. Item of bukon verbs are concerned with aspect rather than tense. Um, okay. So the verbs are correlated with a temporal view of the state or event, and the most basic aspectual contrast is between the perfective aspect and imperfective aspect. I also provided the contemplative aspect. So for perfective aspect, we have the in affix plus bili, which will be binili, which translates to bought. And then for imperfective aspect, we have the maki affix plus the first consonant, first vowel plus the fag affix and then the word uhap, which will be nakikipag-uhap, which translates to talking to. And then they also have the contemplative aspect. Okay, so we have the ma-affix plus first consonant, first vowel, and then the word paniwala which will be maniniwala, which translates to um, will believe. Okay. And then I also provided here a summary of the aspectual markers in item Mukun. So this is actually based on Carlota Smith's two-component theory. I'm not gonna get through all of this because this is a lot. I just divided them into like your perfective, imperfective, and contemplative, as you can see. So this is just based on the data that I have collected. Okay. Okay, so let's go to the adverbs. Adverbs in the language may be divided into two categories according to their functions, such as manner and then temporal. So for manner, we have lagi, which translates to often, and then temporal, for example, buka, which translates to tomorrow. So we have mag-ali, haku, buka. So this translates to I will leave tomorrow. In syntax, sentences in item magbukun are often predicative, composed, or headed by a predicate construction. Um, so for example is nirong ti anak. So we have um, the verbs stood, and then the marker t, and then the noun anak or child. So it translates to the child stood up. The order of arguments or the word order in item magbukon is flexible. So either verb agent patient or verb patient agent. Uh, And then, like the Tagalog language, there is no major contrast between the agent or patient topic case marker and the agent or patient and the agent patient complement case marker. So for the first word order, the verb agent patient, I have here an example. Namili ako ng candy ha babae, which translates to I bought candy from the young women. And then for the verb patient agent, I have nanganing mangga ti anak. The child ate a mango. So verbal sentences consist of a predicative verb plus other nominal arguments that may either be topics, complements, or adjuncts in the constructions. So for intransitive sentence, I have nanganing ti anak, the child ate. For transitive sentence, I have nanganing mangga ting anak, the child ate a mango. In Philippine linguistics, the focus is the expression in the verb of the grammatical role of the subject of the sentence, to which the emphasis may be in agent focus, benefit theme focus, locative focus, and so on. So I have here the agent focus affix. So for example, is na affix plus the word mangan. So it will be nangan, which translates to eight. I have also theme focus affix, the in. So bili plus the in affix will be bilin, which translates to um, by. Locative focus affix, I have mag affix plus the word jan. It will be magjaan, which translates to go through. And I also have instrumental focus affix. So we have the P plus in plus ang, and then the word hulat, which will be pinanghulat, which translates to use to write. And then the last one is reason focus affix. So the ika affix plus ma plus mati, I think is, and then it will be ikamamati, which translates to something will be the death of one. So a characteristic of Philippine languages, which include the Ayta Magbukun, is their ability to form a grammatical sentence without a verb. So this is different from other languages such as English, to which construction must always have a verb for it to be called a sentence. Okay, so there are different types of nonverbal sentences in Ayta Magbukun, such as nominal, uh, non-verbal such as nominal, adjectival, and prepositional. So the first one is nominal, non-verbal sentence. So I have here, abogado ti paton mo, which translates to your brother is a lawyer. And also have kaika in tat, which translates to that is yours. And then included here the also the possible combinations of constituents that make up a noun phrase in Aita Magbukun, just for the your reference. So I have the common noun marker plus noun. So I have hi anak or the child, ha amak, in house. I also have common noun marker plus noun plus demonstrative pronoun. So I have hi anak nain, which translates to that child. I also have demonstrative pronoun plus genitive pronoun. Hatid kayaku, which translates to this is mine. Also have genitive pronoun plus plural marker plus noun. Kay kau au anak, which translates to those children. I also have common noun marker plus noun plus linker plus adjective. Tay anak na mahipog, which translates to the child who is hardworking. For adjectival non-verbal sentence, I have here the mahipog ti babae, which translates to the young woman as hardworking. Mairap ti biyay ha Manila. Life is hard in Manila. So those are just examples. And then I also have the prepositional non-verbal sentence. Hahabaro ti alis ning babayi, which translates to the girl leaves on Saturday. Okay. So for the summary, just as the word formation in other Philippine languages, Aita Magbukon exhibits similar characteristics and processes. The lexical categories such as nouns, pronouns, adjectives, verbs, and adverbs in the analysis generally signify that Philippine languages have similar and different features. Ayta Magbukun can form nonverbal sentences or constructions in which the predicate head is not a verb, but a word belonging to another lexical category. And then the structure of nonverbal sentences is similar to the structure of the same type of sentences in Tagalog. Um, Okay. So before I end the presentation, I also added some quote unquote distinct property, but I'm still working on it. So one distinct property of item Magbukon is the complexity of its case markers, the tie and t, which translate to ang in Tagalog. So one rule is tie marks noun phrases only. So I have here a sentence, ala haamak tay babayi, which translates to the young woman is not at home. Another rule is T marks nouns and a nominalized predicate. So madayo ti nilakal ning anak, which translates to the child walked far. I also have the third rule, T marks a pluralized patient. Um, I have here the sentence, alaha amak ti babayi, which translates to the young women are not at home. And then I have the rule, Thai marks a patient affected by a phenomenal verb. For example, is nagpabagat tay anak, which translates to the child was drenched in the rain. So that's all. Thank you. So here are some of the reference.
Ayan, maraming salamat, Orlyn. Yan, maraming salamat, no, Orlyn and Edward. Siguro, dahil wala na rin questions and comments from the audience, we can now proceed with the presentation of the certificates of appreciation. Ayan, may I ask that, ayan, yung certificate of appreciation ay naka-flash po sa ating screen. So, babasahin ko na lamang po. University of the Philippines, Diliman, College of Social Sciences and Philosophy, Department of Linguistics. This certificate of appreciation is hereby given to Edward Estrera for delivering the lecture titled, sige, pakibalik po sa una. Ayan, for delivering the lecture titled Revisiting the Position of Bagobo-Klata in the South Mindanao Subgroup, and Orlyn Joyce Esquivel for delivering the lecture The Morphosyntax of Ayta Magbukun as part of the Linguistics Graduate Students Research Colloquium organized by the UP Department of Linguistics, given this 17th day of October 2022 at 16th of October yan, lang sa iyo ngayon, no, Orlyn? Ayan, dyan sa Hawaii. Signed by our chair, Maria Cristina S. Gallego, chair of the UP Department of Linguistics. Muli nating bigyan ng masigabo at virtual na palakpakan ang ating mga tagapagsalita, Orlyn Joyce Esquivel and Edward Estrera. Muli kami nagpapasalamat sa pagpapaunlak nila na maging tagapanayam natin sa umagang ito, and for this special installment, no, of the Linguistics Graduate Students Research Colloquium in celebration of the centennial of the UP Department of Linguistics at bilang pag-present na rin ng inaugural Professor H. Cubar Grant awardees. Ayan, sana po ay may mga napulot tayong mga aral, no. Excited din kami also to organize, no, several workshops involving yung indigenous peoples research, ayan, yung NCIP processes, ethics in doing social science and linguistics research, and of course yung skills training, no, yung capacity building, hindi lang dun sa mga natunghayan nating mga pag-aaral sa diachronic linguistics, Philippine linguistics, and Philippine structural linguistics, ayan, at sa iba pang mga topic na may kinalaman dito. Nais ko lang pong anyayahan din yung mga audience natin, no, para sa mga susunod pang events natin sa in celebration of the centennial of the UP Department of Linguistics. Sa October 27 po, 10 days from now, ang ating Linguistics Special Lecture Series installment or LSLS on Eskayan, ayan, featuring po si Dr. Pierce Kelly. Ayan. So, ito po ay tungkol sa language, people, and history of Eskaya. Ayan. So, October 27 po ito. Yung susunod naman po ay sa November 28, um, ito po ay tungkol sa indigenous research methodologies. Ayan, may ano rin po, may kinalaman din dun sa ating isinasagawang colloquium featuring Dr. Madoka Hamine. Ayan, so ito po ay sa November 28 isasagawa. So abangan po natin. And then sa November 15, ang bagong installment ng Lexicon Unpacked featuring sakit. Ayan. Ito naman po ay bilang paglingon din sa the late Dean Consuelo Paz, ang author or editor ng Ginhawa Kapalaran at Dalamhati. Ayan. For more details, now visit our website, linguistics.upd.edu.ph. You may also follow us at our official Facebook page, UP Department of Linguistics, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, UP Department of Linguistics. Ayan. Meron po tayong available na certificate of attendance para po sa ating mga audience. Just fill out our survey evaluation form for this event. The Google form will be open until 5 o'clock p.m. this 17th of October. Ayan. Muli po, ako po si Jem R. Javier, ang nagsilbing moderator po nitong Linguistics Graduate Students Research Colloquium. Nagpapasalamat po kami sa inyong pagdalo, panonood, at sa mga manonood pa. Ayan, maraming salamat po sa inyong pagsubaybay. Hanggang sa mga susunod po na events ng UP Department of Linguistics. Happy Centennial. Have a good day po.